She had no name, just a tag stapled to her collar and numbers burned into her wrists. Shackled in a metal cage on a trade platform orbiting the ruins of her homeworld, she had long stopped crying for help. Her species had lost the war, her kind was merchandise now. But when the human stepped forward, grimy and quiet, and laid one hand on her trembling shoulder, she flinched, then froze. Because for the first time, someone didn't tighten her restraints or bark a command. He whispered, "You don't belong here." And just like that, her chains didn't feel so permanent anymore. The auction hall stank of fuel and fear, burnt ozone, spilled coolant, and the sour scent of 100 broken beings. The girl sat motionless inside a steel cage barely large enough to crouch in. Her skin, once luminescent violet, was bruised gray from restraint shocks and weeks without sunlight. The slavers had stopped feeding her properly 2 rotations ago, said she was just taking up cargo space. Her collar buzzed every time she shifted too much. She didn't cry anymore, not because she wasn't hurting, but because no one cared. Crying only drew attention, and attention got her punished. The auctioneer raised his voice, calling for bids with oily enthusiasm. 1/4 human height, half the mass, bio-enhanced senses, perfect as a pet, translator, or companion, docile, defanged, fully conditioned. The bids started low. No one wanted a dying slave, especially not one who flinched when looked at. But then came the human. He stood out immediately, filthy clothes, grease-stained jacket, clearly a scavenger or hauler, not a buyer. He didn't shout a number. He didn't even raise a hand. He just stepped forward through the crowd and locked eyes with her. Her ears flattened. Her pulse spiked. Was this another humiliation? Another torment? He crouched beside the cage. She expected the usual leer, the mocking smile of someone enjoying her degradation, but there was nothing but quiet stillness in his gaze. His hand came up slowly, not to hit, not to prod, but to rest gently against the reinforced glass. She flinched anyway. Her collar buzzed. She whimpered. He froze, eyes narrowing, not in anger but pain. For her. "You're just a kid," he muttered. No one had said that before. Not in a long time. The auctioneer snapped. "No touching. Place a bid or step back, human." But he ignored them. "I'll take her," he said. "Full price." Laughter rippled through the room. "You can't afford full price," the auctioneer sneered. "She's trash." "So sell her to me," he said, voice cold. "You were going to space her anyway." That silenced them. The girl watched through the haze of hunger and bruises as credits changed hands, tags were removed, and her cage opened. She didn't move. Couldn't. Until his hand reached out again, not with command, but with invitation. She stared at it like a weapon. Her limbs trembled. He didn't pull away. Just waited. No one had ever waited before. Slowly, unsurely, she reached out and touched him. Warm. Real. He didn't flinch. He wrapped his fingers gently around her wrist and pulled her free. The chain clinked to the floor. Her knees buckled. She braced for the shock. Nothing came. "You're safe now," he whispered. She didn't believe him. But she didn't run either. On his ship, bare, patched-together junker that it was, he gave her food first. Real food. Not nutrient paste or expired rations, fresh bread and water. She devoured it too quickly and threw up. He didn't yell. Just cleaned her up and brought more. Then he gave her clothes, human clothes, oversized but warm. Still she didn't speak. She hadn't spoken in so long, she wasn't sure how. "What's your name?" he asked. She flinched again. Her eyes fell to the tag still in her hand. A string of numbers. "Not that," he said softly. "Your name." Her lips parted, but no sound came. "All right," he said gently. "You can tell me when you're ready." Days passed. He didn't demand work. Didn't touch her without asking. Didn't lock her in. When she fell asleep curled up in the engine room, he left a blanket. When she panicked at loud noises, he turned down the music. When she whimpered in her dreams, he sat beside her and waited for her to wake up. One day, just barely above a whisper, she said, "Kareni." He turned to her slowly. Smiled. "Kareni," he repeated. "Beautiful." She blinked at him. He meant it. No mockery. No performance. Just quiet truth. She clutched the edge of her shirt and whispered, "What's your name?" "Tice," he said. "Just Tice." He never asked what they did to her. Never forced her to relive it. But when she screamed in her sleep, he didn't leave. When she curled up in the corner sobbing, he sat with her until the tears stopped. When she finally asked, "Why did you take me?" he looked her in the eyes and said, "Because someone should have." They jumped from station to station, delivering scrap and salvaged tech. Tice never left her behind. She stayed close, first out of fear, then out of comfort. She began to laugh again. Quiet, broken little sounds, but laughter. She began to eat without flinching, to sleep without whimpering, to ask questions. One day she touched his hand, this time without fear, and said, "I don't know what I am anymore." "You're free," he said. "That's what you are." "I don't know how to be free." "That's all right," he smiled. "We'll figure it out together." She never forgot the first moment, the touch that changed everything. Not because it was magic, but because it was human.